"Here's the report, sir. Shall I call Atlanta and give it to her?" Venable scowled as he looked down at the report that Agent David Harley had put in front of him. This inquiry was shaping up to be a king-size headache. Why had he become involved in this mess? He knew the answer. He liked Joe Quinn and Eve Duncan, and they had helped the CIA on many occasions. When Catherine Ling had asked him to pull strings and get this report concerning the death of Eve's daughter, he'd thought it might be a way to pay back. He wasn't sure that would be true any longer. Eve Duncan was very fragile where anything connected to her murdered daughter, Bonnie, was concerned. "Is anything wrong?" Agent Harley asked. "I used 3 sources, it all checked out, and Catherine Ling is usually very accurate." And Harley would be careful, Venable thought. He was new, but he was eager and conscientious. "No, I'm sure you verified it correctly." He shrugged. "I can just see a blow-up looming on the horizon." "But Catherine Ling's email said that—" "I know." Venable held up his hand to stop him. Harley had met Catherine Ling only once, but he had been dazzled by her. Most men had the same response to Catherine. She was not only a top CIA agent, but she was part Caucasian, part Asian, and was one of the most gorgeous and exotic women Venable had ever met. "Catherine may be accurate, but that doesn't mean she might not trigger an explosion. She's ramming her way through every source I have to get that information, and she's not going to stop." "Eve Duncan," Harley repeated tentatively, glancing at the report. "I've heard of her. I saw some photos, skulls and stuff. She's a forensic sculptor, isn't she?" "Have a little respect. She's the forensic sculptor," Venable said. "She's probably the best forensic sculptor in the world. Every police department in the country is standing in line to get her to work on their cold cases involving skeletal remains. Totally dedicated." "Not totally." Harley smiled. "I read that report. She's been living with her lover, police detective Joe Quinn, for a number of years. In real life, she obviously prefers a warm body to those skeletons." "He's a good guy," Venable said, "and tough as hell. He's an ex-SEAL. As I said, have a little respect, or you might regret it. He's been with Eve since her daughter Bonnie was kidnapped by a serial killer years ago. The kid was only 7 years old, and it nearly destroyed Eve." "I can see how it might be traumatic. Was she murdered?" "Almost certainly, though Bonnie's body was never recovered, and the real killer never arrested. That's why Eve went back to school to become a forensic sculptor, to help bring other lost children home. But Eve's been on the hunt for Bonnie's killer all these years." "My wife's pregnant and should be delivering my son any day," Harley said. "I don't know what I'd do if anything happened to him." "Go on the hunt," Venable said, "as Eve Duncan is doing, as Joe Quinn is doing." "What about you, Agent Venable? Do you have any children?" Venable shook his head. "Divorced. No kids. I have a job. A family would get in the way." He tapped the report. "And Eve Duncan is a prime example of why I should stay that way. Finding her daughter's killer has become an obsession that's dominating everything and everyone around her, including me." He swore beneath his breath. Catherine Ling should have stayed out of it. But no, she thinks that she can straighten out the entire world if she puts her mind to it. "She's very clever," Harley said. "It could happen, sir." "Are we expecting any more info?" Harley shook his head. "Those are the only sources you asked me to tap." And the sources Catherine Ling had asked Venable to tap. She had known exactly what she'd wanted. He'd asked her to wait for these reports before she went to Eve Duncan with the information, but he couldn't be sure that she'd do it. Catherine marched to her own drummer and had been so on edge that she'd wanted to get the confrontation over. That was always Catherine's way. Bold, up front, on the attack. That had been Eve's method of handling problems, too. It was one reason why the 2 women had become close friends. "I'll be glad to call Agent Ling and give her the information on this report for you," Harley offered. "I bet you would," Venable murmured. "But I think I'd better handle this myself. You can't expect a straightforward response from Catherine on this particular matter. It seems pretty..."